introduce Ethan.
Hey, come on, give me a hug. Evening. My name is Ethan, and I am an alcoholic. And honestly, I don't know what I am doing up here. And according to my 12-step app, I guess I'm up here because I've been sober for 2.26 years, 27.20 months, 828 days, and 19,867 hours. So I can't think of any other reason why I'm up here.
Ethan, would you stay at the microphone or the recording one? Thank you.
Is that a problem? Okay, sorry. I'm a little intimidated by microphones. But this is kind of privilege to be here and talk, and it's also very scary and uncomfortable. And you know, I do public speaking actually for a living, and I'm sure by the time you're done, you wonder, you're kidding. But really, you know, my job in life is to argue, persuade, and convince people of things. And here I am tonight, not talking about something else. I'm talking about me and the experience, strength, and hope I have gained through the AA program. The real problem about me standing up here, honestly, is for years when I was drinking, I didn't like myself. Had a lot of self-loathing, most of which related to behaviors that occurred when I was drinking. And really, I drank for many years. I started drinking at 18. I got sober at 63, okay? So that's a long haul, and I look at all the young faces out here, and I say to myself, I hope those people stick with this, because the way of life is a much different life. And when I look back at the decades I kind of squandered, I have regrets, but also the whole situation of my story takes care of all that, and you'll hear that in a minute. But like October of 2010 to January of 18th of 2009, in my mid-50s to early 60s, my drinking took off. And part of the reason my drinking took off is because I was kind of at the height of my legal career, and I attend a meeting where a guy talks about the idea of being a bozo on a bus. You don't want to be Superman, you don't want to be dog shit, okay? And in my life, I either was Superman or dog shit, and a lot of that had to do with my profession. And to balance all that, somehow drinking fell into it. But my way of life between 2010 and January 18th of 2019 was very duplicitous. Do you know what that word means? It means you live a double life. You present yourself to the public and people like you, and you've got it all together, and you're a successful person in the Prescott community, and everything's cool, and you are living an underworld life that if anybody ever found out about, all that self-respect, reputation, and everything would collapse. So I lived this life of being good at what I did, confident, presenting it, and underneath I was gloomy, unhappy, poor me, and drinking more and more. At 55, I was really a high-functioning mess, and dishonesty was probably the biggest character defect I had, although I never spent time when I was drinking thinking about my character defects because I was on autopilot. And when you drink, you just do the same thing over and over again without really thinking about what you're doing. And my experience was that drinking dulled my conscience about right and wrong and being honest and dishonest. So here I am, and why I'm here in AA, it was not on my life goal list to be an alcoholic. I had much higher aspirations, or so I thought. Although, as I will tell you, being an alcoholic has given me a greater aspiration to care about other people than I had ever had before. That's the program, and that's working the program. But really, this is kind of my story and kind of what happened. I was born and raised in Prescott, okay? White privileged kid, Prescott, Arizona. There were not many minorities in Prescott growing up in the 50s and the 60s. I grew up at a time when Prescott Valley was Lonesome Valley. There wasn't a house out in Prescott Valley. There were only antelope and cattle. I was here when the first Jack in the Box was put in town. You know, my town, they Prescott, everybody's hometown. No. My hometown, I was born here, okay? You just remember that. But, growing up in Prescott, I had a lot of opportunity, and really I was really a kid who was pretty naive. I was a musician. I went to a state college to be a music major. My father told me about my junior year that, hey, that's a great deal to become a musician, but musicians don't make much money. My career makes more money. And I thought, wow, so go on. I went to graduate school, got a degree in all things law. And really, as I'm going through and escalating in life and doing things, what I didn't know, think about, or really even care about were my character defects. And I know from 2.26 years of being in the AA program, I know what my primary defects are. I'm a people pleaser. I'm a really sensitive guy, and when somebody says something to me or doesn't work out the way I am, I won't say anything about it, but it will affect me inside. And as I indicated to you, I'm a person who was full of self-doubt and low self-esteem. And when you have those three kind of character defects, you know what? You are, number one, a totally self-centered guy, and as a totally self-centered guy, I drank a heck of a lot. I couldn't relate emotionally. I got married when I was 21. My wife was 20. We were high school sweethearts, freshman, sophomore year. We're married 35 years before divorce. I could not relate emotionally to her. And that's how it went. Had 4 children, now I have 8 grandchildren. And then I topped out professionally, like I said, in 2010. And that was the height of my character defects and the commencement of heavy drinking. My wife, I was unfaithful to her. She gave me every opportunity in the world to change my behavior and my character defects in that regard. I was never honest about it. I could stare her in the face and lie about my unfaithfulness, and I wouldn't even feel bad about it at that time. And eventually she divorced me, and of course having 4 children who are aware of the circumstances of what you did to their mother, not a good deal. They didn't want anything to do with me, so my life is unraveling between 2010, 2011, 2012, and ultimately divorced in 2013. And I remember making a conscious decision when I got kicked out of the house. And that conscious decision was, I am not going to feel the pain. How am I not going to feel the pain? Well, my solution was alcohol and drinking. And I did a really good job of masking the pain and continuing on with this kind of lifestyle I had. And it went on and on, even post-divorce. Somebody in AA told me once, before I really even knew anything about AA, but she knew a little bit about me, one of my paramours or something, she said, your lifestyle is not sustainable. And my response to her was, you just watch and wait. I'm fine. Hiding it all, doing all those things. Getting out of one relationship, falling into another relationship, no emotional stability, drinking, autopilot. I'm single, I can do what I want. I have no plan to quit. And I wasn't an alcoholic because I didn't drink vodka, hard liquor. I didn't pass out in the street. I didn't vomit on myself. I only drank beer. Although I discovered looking back that when the beer I drank was only 4.6%, and I realized that IPAs were 5.9% or higher, I switched my alcohol of preference to the higher grade alcohols and continued to drink more. And this went on, had a new girlfriend, treated her like I did my wife, unfaithful, character defects, going crazy, drinking, not thinking about it. On January 18th of 2019, I thought my life was in pretty good shape. I had a good job again. I was restored to some degree the relationship with my children. I was getting back that feeling that things are really going to work out, but I was continuing to drink heavily. On January 18th of 2019, if you didn't know, I love Volkswagen buses, okay? So January 18th of 2019, the Lake Havasu Buses by the Bridge National Volkswagen Bus Festival. I've got my vintage Volkswagen camper bus that I never take out of my garage, and I'm going to drive it to Lake Havasu and just have a roaring good time, and my girlfriend's going to meet me down there, and we're going to go on to the ocean and just, carry on with life. I started drinking that morning at 7:30 in the morning, and that was not uncommon in 2018 and 2019. Took the day off. Drove down there, drank all day, got late to the buses by the bridge. Lots of awesome bunches. People in Southern California will spend absolutely amazing amounts of money to show off these pretty amazing buses. But I got there late, and there were like 502 people with buses who arrived before me, so I got stuck in the very corner of this bus show, and I was really unhappy. And then, of course, because, I take my mountain bike, I ride a mountain bike, I went to get my mountain bike. Of course, I was drinking when I was preparing to go. I forgot my mountain bike tire. So all this mountain bike riding I was going to do, I got a bike with no front wheel. Everything sucks. And am I blaming myself for my own misdeeds that get me in this situation? Absolutely not. I thought it'd be a good idea after looking at all the buses that I'll just drive back to Prescott that night. And so I got in my bus and I started to drive back to Prescott. I'm in La Paz County near the Colorado River, and I see some patrol lights. Oh my, and I get pulled over. And the funny thing is, I was an impaired driver, but when I saw the lights, I didn't think there'd be a problem. The only time I realized there'd be a problem is when I started talking to the officer and I could not speak clear words. And then he mentioned something about the fog line, hugging it, being over, have you been drinking? And of course, the standard answer, 2 beers, that's it. Well, went through the spiel, and for somebody like me in the profession I'm in, it was almost a surreal experience. My bus got impounded. My healer dog, who I love dearly, got me through my divorce in addition to alcohol, or so I thought, got impounded at the Humane Society down there, and I get taken to the La Paz County Jail. And I get thrown in the La Paz County Jail. Now, because of my profession, I know it's pretty easy to bond out on a DUI, but I am humiliated because I know how many times in life I have skated, getting away with drinking, doing something stupid, and then other people helping me in addition to myself and covering it up, to maintain the golden boy image of Prescott, native Prescottonian. And I realized as this thing was unfolding, there is no talking your way out of this. And then, so I went through the spiel. I ended up in the jail cell, and I didn't want to get out. I spent 18 hours in the La Paz County Jail on a steel-plated bed with a mattress about 3 inches thick, and the lights are all on, and I'm looking at crusted vomit around the edge of the steel-grated kind of bed and going, this is me. We talk in AA a lot about despair, and somewhere here, despair, the complete and total loss or absence of hope. That is exactly where I was at. And at first I had those notions of how maybe, hey, La Paz County, this isn't Yavapai County. Maybe nobody will find out. Maybe I shouldn't tell anybody. Maybe if I just keep quiet, things will go away. Well, that were my first thoughts in the jail cell. And then my second thoughts, and this came after I heard something. And the thing I heard in that jail cell was all things work together for good. I don't know where that came from, but I heard that. And I dismissed it. And I spent all night and all day. You can't, any of you been in jail in this situation, no clocks on the wall. You are totally isolated from the world. You don't know if it's 2 in the morning or 9 in the morning. And, but I kept hearing that. I got out of jail, called my girlfriend, pretty freaked out. She came down to get me, and what was I going to do? I got out of jail. The first thing I looked at was people who have committed suicide in public positions after being arrested for DUI. That was my first Google search when I got out of jail. And then I kept thinking about that little phrase I heard, all things work together for good, and I started thinking, you know, what am I going to do? I didn't have a plan. And I started Googling how to overcome a DUI. And if you guys ever want to read some night because you can't sleep, Google how to survive a DUI. And AA was dotted throughout the whole thing, okay? Well, my girlfriend picks me up. I haven't made a commitment to quit drinking, but I don't want to drink that day because everything sucks. We go on to a hotel at the ocean, and I don't know if this had any higher power connection, but we get there. I'm kind of decided, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And we stayed in this room, and next to us in the next room were 4 guys who had come into Ocean Beach, California, to party alcohol all weekend. And they didn't drink beer, they drank vodka. So my girlfriend and I spend this weekend at Ocean Beach, really nice place, hearing this commotion next door, hearing these people get drunk all night, hearing the paramedics come in the morning and drag one of them out. I don't know if he drank too much alcohol or what. And really, some of the ugliness of drinking kind of was thrown in my face. I went back to Prescott, and I did something that is uncharacteristic for a guy who's duplicitous. I called my 4 children. I called my friends. I had told my girlfriend, put it all out there. I got a DUI. I went in to my boss that next week, early in the week, sat down and said, hey, I'm here to tell you something. I got a DUI, and I know I need to resign, and I want you to write a letter. And my boss did something I didn't expect. She said, I'm not ready for that with you. And she put in a suspension plan, kicked me out of the office for 45 days without pay, and said, basically, figure it out. Well, how am I going to figure it out? Higher power. This program is all about higher power. I've lived in Prescott all my life. Who do I turn to, right? I had a friend who was in recovery, heroin addict. He said, hey, why don't you talk to John? Whoa, John? You mean the guy I went to high school with, who went off to the same profession I did and did things? That guy? Yeah. So I called John. John's response, I'll help you. I'm here for you. Wow. He really cared, and there was no hesitation in his response to my request. Then another thing happened. I was setting up at a church service one Sunday shortly after the DUI, and I was setting up with a guy, and I said to myself, I need to be open about this, and I need to tell my friends what's going on. So I told him. And to my surprise, he said, well, you need to talk to my wife. She's in AA. And I didn't even know that, and that's not why I talked to him. So what do I do? Sure. His wife took me, met at the Raven on a Sunday morning. She handed me an AA book, the big book, the 3rd edition, and she told me her story. And I'm sitting there listening to this woman share her personal story and thinking to myself, whoa, her situation was much worse than mine, And I don't know how she ever survived that experience. But the thing that was real clear to me was another person from AA showed that they really cared. She didn't know me from, an apple on the tree. And she sat with me, and she gave me this big book. And I brought it tonight because she opened it to page 59, which is the How It Works chapter. It's a different page than the 4th edition. She opened it up to start talking about the steps, 1 through 12. I wasn't listening to her because in the book she gave me, somebody had written on the column what each step really meant. Step 1, honesty. Step 2, hope. Step 3, faith. Step 4, courage. Step 5, integrity. Step 6, willingness. Step 7, humility. Step 8, brotherly love. Step 9, justice. Step 10, perseverance. Step 11, spirituality. Step 12, service. 12 things I read on the left-hand column of those 12 steps, and I didn't have any of those characteristics, and I wanted them. And through that experience, I went to my first AA meeting, and God works in funny ways again. First AA meeting, I don't know if any of you remember your first AA meeting. I didn't know what to expect. My eyes were glassy. People were friendly. I sat down at the Congregational Church at a noontime meeting and kind of had my head down looking at my feet. I spent a lot of time in AA looking at my feet for the first few weeks. And I looked up, and 3 people from my office were sitting there. I didn't even know they were alcoholics. And they were all smiling at me like, welcome. And that was my first exposure to the AA program. The one thing I learned in the AA program, and I do a lot of meetings. I'm standing up here talking to you, and I have not fully completed the steps. And I need to fully complete the steps. But the thing I have learned in going to AA meetings, and this is something I never did in my life, I started listening to other people. I didn't talk much in the first AA meetings. I don't talk a whole lot now, but I listened. And people talked to me. I found a connection in AA, a fellowship, a community. I found that really life is about we and not I. And I know the first line of AA is take your sobriety first, which when I heard that, it sounded a little bit selfish. But unless you take care of yourself, you certainly can't take care of others. And really, 4 things have happened that I was trying to think today. What are the benefits of AA or my experience with AA? Well, 1, I concluded I was an alcoholic. And I couldn't manage my emotions, and I couldn't really have meaningful relationships with other people. And drinking just made it a lot worse. The second thing I discovered is the attitude of the people, for the most part in AA, made me not want to drink. I wanted that joy, that kind of bubbliness, life's okay, we'll get through this kind of thing, because I have never been that kind of person. I realized through AA that I need the fellowship of AA. That's the bottom line, you people. And this program is all about working on character defects. When I walked into the program, I thought, this program will help me stop drinking, and I'm done. I just won't drink anymore. It just starts with that. And character defects are things that don't go away in a day. And one of the struggles I've had in the program is I want to see progress and perfection. And I've discovered in this program, you got to be patient. Things don't happen overnight. You have to be patient with the progress, and you have to stick with it. And they say the winners are the people who stick with it. That's absolutely true. And I've seen a lot of people in the program going right along, but they get a little impatient with what's going on. They begin to isolate, and next thing you know, they're back to drinking. Um, and this program helps me think more clearly. For years I had the delusion that I could drink and life would be okay. A guy in my profession who's driven a motor vehicle thousands of times impaired. How do you justify that kind of hypocrisy and duplicity? How? You drink more. And that was the way I dealt with things. But probably most important, you people have helped me connect a lot better with my higher power. I went through and for the meetings I went to this week, I was just looking at my notes. What did I learn today? Well, this week, I learned at a meeting about step 6, entirely ready to have God remove the accession to drink and our character defects, that whole patient improvement thing. I was at a meeting this week where a man, Rod, celebrated his 50th sobriety, and that's 18,259 days for anybody who's counting. And I listened to this dude. He has such a mature perspective about life for a guy with 50 years sobriety, a guy who doesn't just talk, but the action is evident. And, to be in a room with a guy 50 years sober, I will never get 50 years. I'll be dead 2 times over before I get 50 years. I felt like, he had a Pope-like kind of presence. That's all I'll say. I learned in one meeting this week about the bondage of resentments and fear, how anger and fear, letting go of things. I heard somebody summarize it. I wrote down, I journal in meetings, summarize steps 1, 2, and 3. I can't. My higher power can. Let my higher power do it. I mean, that's a really good encapsulation of the first 3. This sober journey has been a wonderful experience, and I look back at that jail cell experience where I was so despairing and thought life was over, and the DUI had popped my mask, and everything was going to go to shit. I surrendered in that jail cell that night. I felt it, like I need to do something else with my life because my life is not working, and I'm drinking way, way too much. And that's kind of been my journey. It's gotten better. And I can stand here in front of you, having told that story, and say to you that getting that DUI was the best thing that ever happened to me. Some people, I have 4 children, I have 4 brothers and sisters, and they were all giving me those kind of warning, kind of gentle things. You're drinking too much. Wow, is that your 6th beer today? Whatever. 10 o'clock in the morning. Well, whatever. But I didn't heed the warnings. My higher power gave me a lot of opportunity to change the course of my life. The only thing that would have done it is, I look back, was a DUI where I had to uncover all the cheating, all the lies, all the pretending of who I was, and just admit to everybody that I was an alcoholic, and I have done that. And I've learned so much, and I just want to say one other thing about how God, higher power, works in lives. I got sober in 2019. My character defects did not go away. I had a girlfriend that I wasn't so sure about when I got my DUI, and had done some things. She stuck with me. She's here tonight. And I wanted to be a better person, and this program has given me that opportunity. That DUI gave me the opportunity to change. And what's really interesting is I got sober in 2019. March 11th of 2020, 2 days before COVID shut down everything, my brother with serious brain and memory problems moved from New York to Arizona because my sister just could not handle him. and he moved here, moved to Alta Vista. 2 days later, he shut down. Well, I've spent the last year with my brother, and in part of it he was locked down, but I don't know about any of you do caregiving. This, the job I do in real life is nothing as challenging as the job I do trying to care for my brother, because those character defects I talked to you about, sensitivity, self-loathing, the idea of being a people pleaser. My brother, because of his dementia, is totally negative. My brother is a guy who will never say thank you. My brother is a person who can find, something wrong with an ounce of gold, and he touches every character defect that has not been removed but has been suppressed as a result of this program and continuing. So, I've been working with this, and his personality totally challenges those things. Last weekend I went up to Blue Ridge Reservoir with a buddy to go canoe camping with my brother. And we got up there, and unbeknownst to us, the lake is like 78% empty. So like when you get on the lake with a canoe, you want to camp, like right along the shoreline. You know where the shoreline is? It's 150 feet up a sandstone cliff because the lake is practically empty. So nevertheless, I am a good brother. I'm taking my brother canoe camping. We go out there. Little did I realize when we got in the canoe, two-person canoe, that, I've canoed before. The back guy has the steering, kind of the control of the boat. My brother wanted the back. Fine. Well, my brother's forgotten to understand what opposite sides means. So I'm up there. We got like an hour of light left and paddling on a nice clear lake, but I noticed we're going semicircle. So I'm, trying to do this. I'm getting really frustrated. So I start to show my frustration. My character defects come out. I'm getting angry. I'm not being patient with him. And at some point he says, in the middle of like, I want to get out now. Go right ahead. We paddle up. It's about dark. We find a place to park the canoe, and we hike up this 150-foot thing in the dark. I am carrying 75 pounds of gear, okay? Struggling up this hill. My brother has his hands free. He's a little older and, unstable. All the way up this cliff, it's like, this is insane. I don't know why I came with you. I wish I wasn't here. I want to go back to Rochester. Ethan, nice, I'm handling it. I said, Eden's right up here, John. We're almost there. We get up there, and he's carrying on. And at that point, no further restraint of my character defects. He'd hit my sensitivities with just being Debbie Downer and nothing I could do right. I planned this trip. I had everything. I brought everything for him, food and everything else. And as far as he's concerned, he's having a shitty time. Hit every character defect, and you know what happened? I blew up at him, and I did it intentionally. Some people with dementias, I've learned, they don't like loud sounds. Well, I'm on the edge of the Blue Ridge Reservoir with a huge echo, and I just start yelling at him, telling him how, he is not, helping, that I brought him here and he doesn't care. He's so negative and I can't do anything. And he wanders off and into the dark. And I make 2 more trips back to the canoe, lug this stuff up, make dinner, make a fire. He comes out, kind of quiet, spends some time. Well, okay, I've been to AA, right? And he goes to bed and I'm sitting there at the fire going, damn. I did everything wrong. I let my character defects. I intentionally tried to get, with the sound and everything, I intentionally tried to disrupt him. I was that angry, and I didn't care. I meant to hurt my brother. So I stay up till like 2 o'clock with this fire, get in bed, rolling around, going, man, I got to make amends, and Jesus, I can't believe I let myself go like that. So I get up in the morning, make breakfast. He gets up, we sit down, and here I am, personal inventory, I've done that. And I go, John, I'm really sorry. And I really meant it. I'm really sorry about the way I treated you. It was malicious. It was uncalled for. And he goes, huh? You know, the fight we had last night, you know, where I told you this and that and this and that. And he goes, I don't remember us fighting. And you know what my first thought was? Honestly, I said, damn, I sure wasted a lot of energy and anger for nothing. And then I thought, this is what AA is all about. You know, and it was laughable because you know what? I let my brother get to me. I let all my character defects take over. Everything I learned about the program, I put aside. And honestly, I was kind of thankful. I don't feel like I have the daily desire to drink. That night at the campsite, I was thinking, if there was a beer sitting right there, I would have drank it. I mean, I was that upset. But it pointed out something about the program, and that is basically we play a part in everything, but how we handle our emotions and how we work with people is a really, really significant thing. And I'm very blessed for my brother because he gives me the opportunity more than anybody in my life to practice this program and practice the 12 steps. And you know what? We're in a program where we're trying to encourage each other to not drink. Well, as I've learned, I won't drink or have the desire to drink if I work the steps and do all the things that are suggested and make amends to people. Remember, I'm not a big jewelry guy, but I wear one thing around my neck. It's this little token, and it says blessed. When I was drinking, I never felt blessed. In sobriety, I have felt blessings that I have never expected to receive. And I am really grateful for my girlfriend who has stood by me and has told me, you know, she's the best monitor of my character right now in telling me what I'm doing, and I think I'm making some progress. I'm making some progress with my brother, but I don't make that progress unless I go to meetings. You know, some people go once a week, that's cool. I'm a guy that has to be there often because I'm constantly doing battle with what my thinking is telling me to do, which is most often contrary to what I should be doing according to the suggestions of the program. So I really appreciate being here, people, and I hope all of you have the opportunity to, you know, let the program accomplish in your life what the program can accomplish. But as they say, it takes work, work, work. And I have not come anywhere near the measure of success that I know Rod, who had 50 years this week, has achieved, but I'm getting there. And I'm going to stick with it. And I appreciate all you being here, too. Thanks.
Let's thank Ethan one more time.